Good morning, good afternoon. Great to connect again and have this momentum. And beautiful to see this bird flying. I wonder if you're getting this feeling of this wonderful, wonderful freedom that we can achieve through understanding. And we'd like to share a short video which is aimed to summarize yesterday.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to jump into a really powerful way of thinking that could help us navigate our often chaotic lives. It's a way of looking at the world that might just change how you experience, well, everything. Okay, let's start with this big question. We all do it, right? We try so hard to build a solid foundation, find some stability, and just hold on tight to the things we care about. But here's the catch. We're trying to do it in a world that is, by its very nature, completely and totally unstable. And that's the real puzzle we're going to try and solve here.
All right, so to really get a handle on this, let's start with a metaphor. I want you to imagine that our entire world, everything we can see, touch, and know, fits inside a single box.
Now this box, it represents our entire physical reality. Your town, your country, your job, your relationships, everyone and everything you can possibly perceive is inside this box. And this box comes with 3 non-negotiable labels stamped right on it.
First up, the label of change. Everything in the box is in a constant state of flux. Nothing ever stays the same. Second, end. Every single thing in this box is temporary. It has a beginning and it has a guaranteed end. And third, unpredictability. We simply have no idea what's coming next, not even in the next second.
And this leads to a really powerful analogy. If the world is always changing and ending, trying to find security from it is like trying to lean on a broken branch. You know what happens, right? It doesn't just fail to support you, it snaps, making your situation even worse and creating way more insecurity.
And what happens when you keep leaning on that broken branch? Well, it kicks off this nasty, vicious cycle. It sends us spiraling down into what we can call the spiral of insecurity. So how does this spiral even work? Well, it all starts when we try to own things in the box, labeling them as mine. Then, we start creating expectations. We demand that these things, people, jobs, our status, give us support. But deep down, subconsciously, we know it's all temporary, which makes us feel deeply insecure. And when we feel insecure, our worst qualities bubble to the surface. Fear, anger, jealousy, you name it.
You know, there's this perfect little story that just nails this idea. Imagine a 4-year-old boy visiting a friend's house. He's given a cool toy to play with, and he absolutely loves it. But when it's time to leave, he starts wailing because he can't take it home. He got so attached, so caught up in this idea of mine, that he couldn't even enjoy the simple act of playing with the toy while he had it.
And that's the thing, right? We're exactly the same as that kid. Our toys are just bigger and more complex. Our careers, our social status, our relationships, we get so attached, so afraid of losing them, that we often completely forget to enjoy them in the here and now.
But what if there's another way to live? Let's switch gears and look at a whole new perspective. A solution, really, developing the mindset of a guest. Okay, picture this. You're visiting a beautiful museum. You walk around for a couple of hours, you're totally engaged, you're appreciating all the amazing art, but you don't try to stuff a painting in your bag on the way out. You don't label anything as mine. Why not? Because you know you're just a guest. You have a clear exit time, and that awareness keeps you completely free. What if we approached our entire life this way? So you've got these 2 totally different ways of being. There's the resident, who tries to own everything, builds up all these attachments, and lives in a constant low-grade fear of losing it all. And then you have the guest, who simply appreciates the experience, remains totally free, and lives without that fear. Because a guest knows, fundamentally, they have nothing to lose.
I mean, when you really think about it, it's just common sense, right? We all know we have a guaranteed exit from this life. And once you truly, deeply accept that fact, the whole idea of claiming permanent ownership over anything inside the box starts to seem completely absurd.
But we can actually take this whole guest idea a step further, make it even deeper. Let's start seeing the world not just as a place we visit, but as a grand cosmic stage. In this model, the physical world is a theater. You are not the temporary role you're playing. You're not just a manager or a parent or a friend. You are the actor, the consciousness that is experiencing that role. The actor doesn't belong to the stage, they just come to play a part for a little while. And this kind of splits our way of thinking into 2 camps.
There's the Patar mindset. Think of it as a heavy, stone-like intellect that can only see the role. This is the mindset that thinks, I am the camel in the play. Then there's Paris, a much more subtle intellect that sees the bigger picture. It knows, no, I am the actor who is playing the camel. One gets you hopelessly trapped in the drama, while the other gives you real, genuine freedom.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually feel it? How do we make this real? Let's bring all this together into a simple, practical exercise you can start doing today.
And here's the best part. You don't need to go on some long retreat or meditate for hours. The whole goal is to simply experience this shift in perspective, even if it's just for one single minute. That tiny experience is what really counts.
So here's what you do. For just 1 minute, sit down and remind yourself, I am a guest here. Then try to fully, deeply realize that not one single atom of this world, and that includes your own body, truly belongs to you. In that moment of realization, you can experience this profound feeling of security that only comes from having absolutely nothing to lose. And you'll find that in that space, your best qualities, peace, love, contentment, they just naturally emerge. And the result, it's huge. Finding this true security by letting go of that broken branch is the absolute key. It's what allows our best self, our peace, our love, our creativity to finally come to the surface. And at the exact same time, all the things that cause us so much suffering, our ego, our desperation, our sorrows, they just begin to fade away because they suddenly have nothing to grab onto.
So I want to leave you with this one question to really chew on. If you fully, 100%, embraced being a guest here, knowing that nothing is yours to keep, how would that change your experience of today? What could you appreciate more freely, more fully, right here, right now? It's a pretty powerful thought to carry with you.
So a very quick summary recap, and with to clap Chinese translator for keeping up. And I like the languaging. It's a little the low grade fear, sometimes just to have the language to describe what it is that we can be free from with this mindset. And also being reminded of the two options of intellect, which of course will continue to get refined for all of us. What is that 100% freedom with the Paris intellect? So welcome back to all, and hi to Prashant.
So that was a summary through AI, and it is so beautifully done. And I like to listen to that actually. So let us come into some experiences. Paras experience. And beautiful secret. We start with keeping the body comfortable. Understand we have the option to use paras. We already have it, we just need to use it. Paras interact. And it is radically different to what we have been used to. And we are prepared for that. And with this, we see the whole physical world as a story. Everything that happened today, since morning, it happened in a story. And right now, yeah, Prashant talking, that is happening in the story. We see it, not just hear it, but we come in that awareness that this is actually a theater based on a story. And so there is nothing to complain, nothing to worry. Everything that happened in the past is a story. It appears like a joke to talk about trauma and Take some big sorrows that appears like a joke. We have the option to be 100% paras. So when we are talking, it is a story, it is story, full stop. During these minutes, beyond the story is the real world. This is the world of complete silence. There is no noise of the story. We see this world in the image of a sky. World of light, expanse, timeless. Exists forever. We understand the reality of this world. It is not just a meditation experience. This is the home of everyone. World of total security. It exists forever. It is beyond harm. The story cannot harm anyone. Many things happen in a story. There are dragons and there are villains in a story. But stories don't harm anyone. In the real world are the real beings, true families here. We see them as living stars. They are the ones who become invisible travelers, and they are the ones who are the invisible observers or invisible actors. This is their home. They are the living stars of this eternal sky. They are noble. That absolute security brings out the best in everyone. They are absolutely secure. Beyond harm, not even the slightest harm can come to them, ever. They exist forever. What they are, they remain forever. It is in this environment that the true self becomes conscious. This environment of the sky, environment of the true family, the true self wakes up. And for him to be that invisible witness is normal. To see himself as a tiny point that appears normal. Bodiless and even featureless. There is no physical image. A conscious star that appears normal. To be immortal appears normal. Immortal exists forever, carefree. belong to that eternal sky appears normal. To be completely separate from the story, independent from the story, appears normal. The whole story is a separate world. Appears strange to mix your life with the story. All that he has done is use the Paras intellect, and as if he wins the biggest prize, he wins the world of truth. He discovers his real world and the home. He discovers the true family, discovers the true self, discovers himself, discovers immortality, discovers life of happiness, discovers that noble personality, great family, all worthy of love and loving. As this invisible witness continues his journey in the sky and on the earth, he remembers the option of Paras, just catching hold of the Paras, and then everything else comes in. He then has the right attitude towards the story and the right attitude towards himself. He wins the sky, also wins the earth. Thank you. Quickly revising some things we spoke over the last 2 days. On the first day, we spoke of different identities. We used the image of a small eye to describe them. And we also said this is a very, very important subject for all human beings, especially if you want to be free from waste, free from sorrows, free from angers, be in control, then we need to understand this. Even spiritual effort makers, when they find they are not able to stay with what they aimed for. For example, they don't want to become angry, and they don't want to get into envy, or don't be manipulative, or they did not aim to be like that, but they suddenly find they are doing that. There is a life, there are vices in some form. That low level fear is there. For some situation, it can be high level fear also. So what is going on in those situations? Person says he has been making effort, spiritual effort is serious. And he uses determination, he uses all these aims and promises, but still these tendencies continue. And what we are seeing here is to understand the subject of identification is very, very important if we want to be our own master, if we want to stop this. Like in even our language, we say we are not a body, yes, agreed, but body, based on the body, just one eye, one small eye is based on the body. Many of these small eyes are not based on the body. They are based on various other things, including your dog and including your shoes. And a religion, we give the example. And subconsciously, you identify means you think it is as if you are taking things personally, and it does it. At that time, your discrimination collapses. You don't say that is just a separate thing, just shoes. You totally feel it is to do with you. For example, this is a real example. We are spiritual effort makers, and there is some opinion. There is one opinion, okay. But what happens next is person is identifying with that opinion. It has become as if at a subconscious level, you feel as if someone doesn't agree with that opinion, he's your enemy. He's attacking you. This becomes the interpretation of it, and sometimes this identification with the opinion becomes so big, because your opinion have always been nice and always perfect, and so everyone is worshipping your opinions, and so that identity can continue to become bigger and bigger. And now someone doesn't agree with your opinion, gives a different opinion, and shows the fallacy in your opinion. You are not free to appreciate the other opinion, even though it may be good for the world, even though it may be good for you. This ego is not even thinking of you. Ego is living for itself. Ego will take the offense, serious offense. Ego will see the other person as an enemy, will create a gang against the other person, will target that person. It is like a full revenge where energy can come. The person himself may be surprised because he's a spiritual effort maker. And he suddenly says, what is happening? What am I doing here? And why am I doing all this? I'm serious. I don't want to go in this direction. But this identification is not observed. And that's why this whole reaction. But same thing happens. Another person, he identifies with science opinion or science theory. If you go into some of the universities, it's full of politics. Externally, all appears to be all holy. They are making all this good research, but there is a politics going on and a backbiting going on. And they themselves don't want it. They are all sincere, thinking of the larger goal. But these side streets, they are like parasites in the system, come because of the identification. Religions are full of this. It's such a confusion. You should be seeing yourself as a soul, and instead of soul, you say, I am a religious person. I am from this identity. I'm Christian, or I am some, religion. It appears as if it is all the same. It is all spiritual, and then this identity will is insecure, can be made more insecure by situation, and you will see the reactions that come that you yourself didn't want. We said, one person said to me, I don't want to give up identity based on a religion. Now what is happening? Religion don't want you to identify. This whole department of attachments, all the religions tell you drop attachments. That is the cause of all problems. Identification is a deep level of attachment. So religions tell you don't identify, and the people feel as if by identifying they are good to the religion or they are doing something right. They are more religious. So this is like a complete 180 degrees twist to something that is very noble. We don't try to understand religion. We have completely lost the essence of the religion. Don't even try to understand the essence. Many may not even have touched the scripture even, but they think to identify with the religion is to be religious. But same with here right now, these ideas we are talking about, opinions, as we said. I can identify with opinion. Not to see this as a nice academic subject. It has power to bring about transformation. Unless you observe this in yourself, this great bigger concept is nice. But if you see this in yourself, I'm identifying with my cooking. I'm identifying with my children. Or it can be some, identify with the dog even. But to observe it, they are all ridiculous. All identities are ridiculous. Identify with the body. It is not you. All of these things are from that story. And but we are identifying. One time I was in one country, in this time it was Finland, and we had a retreat, and after one session, evening time, someone asked me, "Are you going to join the sauna?" I said, "No. I personally don't like sauna, so I said I don't like sauna." And next day she said she took the offense, and why she took the offense? She identified with sauna. Sauna is from the invention from the country, Finland. And so she has in time created an identity with, and someone doesn't like sauna, it became a personal offense. She observed it and she was able to speak about it. That is wisdom. We could identify with anything. It is not a occasional thing. We are riddled with so many identities. They are endemic, and they can become big. So-called success is gobbled up by these identities. If someone is in power, like say it is what is happening in some countries, someone is a president for 10 years, 20 years, goes on and on. What will happen to these identities? These identities will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they are stuck. No one can create any arrangement. They are the ones who will take absolute revenge, and they will be, they are working for the ego afterwards. They are not working for the country. They are not working. It is absolute power corrupts. The corruption is also absolute, and corruption starts at this level. To know this, and it has power to transform. We can't just say, I am going to be free from anger. I'm going to change. I use determination from today, going to change. The root has to be seen. To know it generally is one, it has to be seen. You need to see exactly what you're identifying with. Some situations that come, that helps you to understand what you're identifying. someone scratches, that is a good opportunity, good time to watch. One person asked me, which identity is difficult to remove? What will you answer? There are many identities based on job, based on people, based on clothes, based on religion, many identities, opinions. Which identity is difficult to remove? What will be your answer?
A very good question. Some might think like the big one might be difficult. Let's see. If the maybe our name and where we're from, so that's like a nationality, as a spiritual effort maker, our family, nationality, all of them, they're all difficult. Maybe one is being a mother or a wife. That's from a male. One, yes, so they're all difficult. Successful one, maybe.
Yes. The identity that is not seen, that is the difficult one. If a robber, you've not seen a robber, that robber can create more problems. If you have seen a robber, that robber will run away, but the robber that is not seen. So all the identities are there. They are all difficult. But once you have spotted what you're identifying with, they dissolve very, very quickly, because you suddenly realize how absurd it is to identify, and you find relief from them. It is like one demon less in your system. They just bring pain, these identities. We don't need them in our lives. That's why you get sometimes people saying they understood something and they observed something, and they became free from lots of anger. Lots of anger was around that one identity. They dropped the identity, they became free. Depression, 100% of depressions are connected with one identity. You need to spot it yourselves. And a psychotherapist may not be able to spot it. You need to use this. Each time you are practicing this invisible witness, come to that observer space. We call it soul consciousness. Each time you are coming in that practice, it becomes like a mirror, and that helps you to spot the other identities. Contrast stands out. And if you spot the big one, that is where depressions, angers, they are all around some big identities that are there. Excellent. Today we are going to speak some insights that are connected with science. So far we have been talking about invisible traveler, invisible home, and invisible, this everything is invisible journey. Someone might ask you, where is this invisible? Where is it coming from? Is it just a belief, or is it like we just have to take this, where can I see this invisible? So let us approach this subject through science and try and see if it is rational enough to take it further. Now, in science, there is an understanding. Let me make a straight line. In science understanding, that the world that exists, it is represented by this line, let us say. And in here, there are some animals. Here is one caterpillar, and there is a bird, and there is a human being. So all these things are going on. Okay, so caterpillar has got just one sense organ. It can only touch. Let us say, this particular creature has got just one sense organ. So the world it can know is a very small world. These other creatures got three senses. The world it can ever know is bigger than the caterpillar. Human beings have got five senses, so the world is even more. But there are creatures who got more senses, different senses. And then there are, even your dog, you might know, it can know things you don't know. It can pick up things, so what is it that which senses do they have that they could know things differently? Obviously, they can relate to the world that human beings cannot access. And that world, we will have to call it non-physical world. Because this world, we don't have senses for it. We have senses for this world. This world we call physical world. It is physical in relation to human senses. It is something different for other creatures. So here is a physical world, and the world we cannot access through my senses, we call it non-physical. This is all, and then we can get so fanatical that as if physical world, we have to solve everything through this physical world. That becomes a limitation, intellectual limitation.
Could we say, sorry.
Yeah.
We say senses and sense extensions because some of the instruments we have, we use in order to use our senses. So it's like extensions of our senses through science.
Yeah. Through that we can directly, indirectly, but senses. But there are some we can't even know what is going on. For example, homing pigeons. Pigeons come back to their home, from 18 even as far as 18 miles away. They can come back, crash land on the same tree. We don't know what they are seeing, directly or indirectly. But they have some sense. We don't even know what sense they got. It is a bit like if I'm blind, I can't even understand what is happening, how others, what they are seeing, that kind of thing. We may have to only guess. They pick up some magnetic field. We try to see what based upon what we know. But the other animals, they have got other way of seeing things. So part is called the physical reality, and we saw that the other world, it is a real world, but for human beings it is non-physical. Now this puts a huge limitation on the science, because science as a system has to rely upon the sense perception, and so it has a big limit. It cannot talk of anything beyond the physical sense perception. So which is great, that is a nice system. But if we want to know the truth, then science is not in a position to tell us the truth. It just denies half of the world that exists there. Now let us come to this big question of, what is the big question? Big question of I. We all, it is very relevant because it is about us. And so here is a man who says he's 70 today. So here is a man who is 70, and he says he was the same man, he was the same one 60 years ago. He was in school 60 years ago. He's the same one today. Medical evidence tells us that every atom here is different to every atom in the body here. And everyone will agree with that. There's not one atom we can say it is the same one continuing here. So at a body level, at a physical level, it is 100% replacement has happened. In fact, it has happened many times, not once, but over a period of 70 years, it is replaced many times. But the person says, I'm the same person. You will say you are the same person here today, and the same person was in school. And when we are talking about a person, we are talking about the experiencer. You were there in school, you are here today. So the experiencer is the same one. And where is this experiencer? Experiencer is not in the atoms because everything is replaced at different atoms. In other words, we can say the experiencer is not in this physical section of this world. And if it is not in the physical section, it has to be in the non-physical region of the world. And this experiencer is the one we are representing here in the image of the star. Experiencer. It is this experiencer whom we call the invisible witness. He is the observer. He is the one who is the traveler. He is the invisible soul behind all this physical world. Now let us come to what we discussed so far. It is solid argument. It is, we have all the institutions, science institution, no one can argue against it. But it doesn't mean that science institution is going to drop their limitation. It is that institution is going on. But what all that we are saying is, if we want to know the truth, don't go to the science. We have to go beyond science. That is a position we are taking here. Now let us see some research that is happening within the science world. And one research, it is called out-of-body experiences. If you go into internet, some papers, you will find very, very interesting case studies. Sometimes you might be meeting people who had out-of-body experiences. They're all very interesting. In one studies, they say 6% of the population have out-of-body experience. And in all these cases, they see themselves separate to the body. And that is a new thing for them. New thing for the science world also. So consciousness, that invisible traveler, most of the time it is with the body, and we think it is all the body itself. But in these cases, it is separate and shows the existence separate from the body. Connected with the outer body, the another is called near-death experience. Again, you will see many interesting cases about this. There are people who can leave the body at will and then come back. Those cases are also there. They can go to other place, come and tell you what they saw. That is also happening. But we are going to watch a short video on reincarnation. Again, studied by psychologists. We have got reincarnation as a concept coming from different religions. But here, one psychiatrist by name Ian Stevenson, he came across a case of child talking about another life. And this was in Virginia in USA. And his mother of this child was, puzzled by what is happening. So he studied this case, studied the child, got as much information from the child. And based on the information, he was able to locate the family where the other person had died, and tried to study that family, that case, that post-mortem report of that person. And he found 40 facts, more than 40 facts, matched with the reality of that other life. And so he published that case in the Psychiatry Journal of America. This was in 1960s. And he got lots of interest. He got grants, more. He published, more grants he got. And now in Virginia, they have got a department within the university. And it is called Division for Perceptual Studies. And through that, they were able to study all 5 continents, and very good cases. And at last count, they had more than 24,000 cases. By now, it must be more, good cases where children remember another life. But the very, very interesting patterns. 40,000, 24,000 is a big number. And you see the patterns and you see different, very interesting cases. But one observation from him, injury from one life is seen into the another life. That becomes like a very physical, evidence. For example, someone was stabbed, one lady was stabbed. And in the next life, that child has got 27 blood red scars on the back. That other lady was stabbed 27 times, and there are 27 scars in this child born exactly the same part of the body. So we'll hear the interview with Ian Stevenson. Ian Stevenson passed away some 20 years ago, but it will be nice to hear him and see some of the cases.
Professor Stevenson has studied hundreds of birthmarks and birth defects in children who claim previous lives.
I'm particularly interested in a collection we have about 15 cases where there are 2 birthmarks corresponding to bullet wounds of entry and exit. And forensic pathologists know that nearly always if you shoot somebody, the bullet wound of entry is small and round, and the bullet wound of exit is large and irregular in shape. And that's the way our birthmarks, in about half of these cases, they correspond exactly that way.
This boy was born without a right ear, but with memories of the life of a man who was shot in the head.
He remembered the previous life of a peasant farmer, this was in Turkey, who went to sleep at the end of the day in a pasture, and a neighbor came along hunting rabbits, and in the twilight mistook this sleeping peasant for a rabbit and shot him with a shotgun at point-blank range. We were able to go to the government hospital where the wounded man had been taken, and there we found a report showing that he died about 10 days later of hemorrhage in the brain. And this boy had memories of this man's life and his death.
The skull of a Turkish miller killed by a blow to the back of the head with a flour shovel. This picture is from the official post-mortem report. Later, a child claimed to remember the miller's life. The boy had a misshapen skull. Violent death occurs frequently in Stevenson's best cases. He speculates that the trauma of such a death may cause it to be remembered. This Burmese man recalled a previous life as a notorious bandit who was captured and executed for murder.
The hanging was bungled, so that he had to be hanged twice. And the subject, who had the memories of this brigand, was born with a almost absent lower jaw. His mandible was exceedingly small, and his mouth was very narrow and tight, so that he really can only take liquid food, and he can't open his mouth. But birth defects of the kinds that we have in these cases are uncommon, and they're not the sort that you find in the textbooks of birth defects, the monographs, with rare exceptions. A few of them are, but most of them are not.
In a village in northern India in the 1970s, a small boy lost the fingers of his right hand in a fodder chopping machine. Later, the child died, but in a neighboring village, a boy was born who claimed memories of the dead child's life. There was other evidence too. Lekpal's case was investigated by Dr. Stevenson and the Indian parapsychologist Dr. Satvant Pasricha.
अच्छा लेखपाल, पहले जन्म की बातें याद है तुम्हें?
यहाँ पैदा हुई, थोड़े कुछ बाद जब छोटे छोटे थे तब थोड़ा याद करो करते थे, फिर इलाज चलते रहो। जैसे पिताजी ने माँ को ऐसे शराब गांजा पियो करते थे, उनने ऐसी मशीन फिराई दी, तो हाथ वो कटियो, हम तो वहीं खड़े रह गए, उंगलियां पांचों उनके सामने गिरी जान, तब एकदम बड़बड़ाने भी सब कि लला हाथ कटियो तब
तब तुम्हारा नाम क्या था?
हुक्म सिंह।
Yeah, this is just to help us understand this subject of something more than the body. And there's something more exists, and this reincarnation observation, they are solid evidence. And Ian Stevenson's work, when it is going into the science world, they say his methodology is perfect. His thorough study is so perfect. And some say, if he's right, we all are wrong. In other words, the whole science will need a revamp. We need to understand science in a new way. And some scientists say it will happen. Revamping of science will happen sooner than we thought. And it is good. But we are not waiting for science to be revamped. Science will get revamped, but we might not be there. So we need to revamp ourselves before science gets revamped. It will be nice to hear if you want to say anything. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure questions are there right now, not in the chat. I like the word you used, riddle. It's with so many identities, it's quite we need that clean mirror that you mentioned of the true I. And I guess this experience is helped when we have a practice which is so clear, the difference between, you touched on yesterday, the actor and the role, or the guest mindset from the temporary. To practice this and really enjoy that 100% freedom, because otherwise it feels like it's too big to see. So I think it's nice because we get the understanding and the rationality, but to really grasp it, to get into the experiences, and then we will have that strength, as you were saying, to spot the limited I and see the absurdity for ourselves. But it's very nice, and others have commented as well, how it's helped them to understand some of these cases. And there's a lot now of the near-death and out-of-body experiences. Yeah, no questions right now. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. We saw yesterday our model, and the reason we are touching this subject of science, we are in a culture which is, very much dominated by science, and as if we need a permission from science. Science has to accept, then it can be true, and we are seeing here through science what is happening, and limitations of science also, but also what are the options we have, that we are seeing it. In our discussion yesterday, we saw that this is a big challenge for us. This box, it's a big challenge. This box comes with lots of glitter, gold, song, and all these players, invisible players, they are very, very lucky. They are immortal, they are noble, they are divine beings. Their life is of happiness and love, and they don't need anything else. And this is a nice box. We saw it is at more like a story world. And it is a extra. It is not something they need for their existence. But the power of this gravity, the pull into that, it creates such a chaos. They get drawn into it until they are disconnected from their world. They are disconnected from their world, they are disconnected from their family, disconnected from themselves. It is like an extreme. We are totally drowning into that story world, and then create identity based on things of the story. Think that you yourselves, you are a Cinderella within that world. Such is the degradation, intellectual degradation that happens, big fall of man. Identity is extreme form of our degradation. To create any kind of dependency that we saw yesterday, dependency, taking support from it, leaning over a broken branch, that is the language was used today. But you are taking support, they become dependent, but then you think you are the Cinderella, and that is the identification and various other subconscious identities. And so much chaos. And now our big success, and that is the reason we are here, big success is to bring ourselves up the spiral, to take us out of this fall. And this is the rise. The program for us is detached involvement. We want to be involved here in the box, but at the same time remain free. This is our program. We are not saying we want to run away from that box. That is like a monk tradition, sannyas tradition. They want to run away from this world. Our tradition is we want to be in the world, involved. So you are living in the city, living in the family, living in the job, but you are coming behind a line. You are not deceived by it. You are reconnected to your world. The concept of the guest is a very, very good concept for us, because guest is ideal, involved, at the same time very detached. But the invisible guest, Prashant is already part of that box. But the invisible guest, he becomes conscious and understands he is separate from everything in the story. Another word that is helping us is the observer, witness. Another word is a trustee. You may be responsible for many things, but be a trustee in that situation, including the family and the body. You are involved, but don't be defeated. Stay beyond. Traveler is a good word. Yesterday we used the word actor. Any other words you want to add?
There's one that was used in the science demonstration.
And what is the word?
Experiencer.
Experiencer, that's also good, very good. Yeah, experiencer. And a player. Play with different words at different times. We are all of this. It is not just one. And in this invisible soul, he is experiencing, but he is involved like a guest. But guest, he doesn't own anything. He is the observer, a witness. He is a trustee, takes responsibility. He is a traveler. He has troubles. Traveler likes to remain light. He's the actor. Actor is very involved. He role. Everyone just sees the role, but he knows he is something very different. He's a player. Play with different words, but all along it is the soul. Soul that is the worth writing down all these words, even making a photo of all this. And when you are revisiting them, experience what it is like. The soul is a guest. Soul is the trustee. Soul is the actor. Experience how it feels like to be the soul. Step behind everything that is Cinderella is going on. You are stepping behind Cinderella and remaining. Not one atom here belongs to me. This kind of your aim. You may be involved with atoms, gold, but clean the slate. Nothing can belong to me. Come back behind. You are very lucky because that supreme sky belongs to you. But from this temporary world, nothing belongs to you. No one belongs to me. Clean the slate again and again. Yes, let us hear some thoughts from you.
The comment, you also no longer identify as being a host. Yes, some questions. You mentioned everything is changing and moving. Is the place of silence also an epitome of stillness?
It is the eternal world that is most important for us. It happens to be the world of stillness, yes. But most relevant for us is it is eternal, and we ourselves are immortal. That's why stable. If we want a base, it is truly a secure base. And we can safely belong to that world. And you got nothing to lose ever. If you are looking for a home, you're looking for a place to settle down, that is the place to settle down. To settle down in that unpredictable box is confusion. We are travelers in that. We are creating a house and all this, but bottom line, you are aware that nothing here is permanent.
I like what you mentioned about cleaning the slate. It's like, if we do move into a new house, it's also like a lovely feeling of newness, but very quickly you don't notice things. You might have not unpacked all the boxes and after the initial move, and after a while you walk past them. So we can't even appreciate when we settle down in the name of security, you're not really even alive sometimes. At least I notice myself. Whereas the guest mindset, you have an enlivened richness about, wow, but also you haven't got into familiarity. The point of light is shining. So in effect, that's moving. A similar question to the last one.
Yes, in the home we are not moving, but in the physical world, it is like constantly things we are flying past this world. Things are going past us.
I hope that answers. I'm not sure, but let us know. One more question. Is it possible to solve an issue in this life that has been something perhaps repeated through, they've said all lives, so I don't know if they mean like past life, for example, addiction, so that once it's been solved, it won't keep coming back in future lives?
Absolutely. That's why we are here. We can come back to 100% reset, and some things are spoken already when we are talking about the bigger picture, bigger home, truth, the real true self. All of this makes you 100% free. All our so-called problems are connected with the false identities. Different false identities are holding on to different problems, maybe addictions, maybe illnesses. They are all connected with that. And all the bad omens are there. So if you are able to let go of them, you let go of the bad omens, and you discover your sky. That is the biggest prize anyone can ever win. That's why it is like a proper reset.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you. That's really very liberating. So no other questions right now?
Yeah, sure. Is it about time for break? Happy to
Yes.
take a break now and meet after the break.
Yes, it's a good time. Just to raise the option of the question for discussion. How does science help you to understand deeper spiritual wisdom? And how clear am I about the invisible dimension? How does that sound as a question?
Yeah, good. Very good.
Okay, great. So we'll just opening up the rooms shortly. I'll put that in the chat and you can have a few moments also to reflect on that. And as always, enjoy. And if you are able to come into camera, it would be lovely. See you back soon. Thank you. You welcome back, and these impressions of zooming out, this creates such a coolness, I think. Hi to Sanjay, and it'd be lovely to hear from you, and welcome back.
Hello and good afternoon for all of you. Nice to see you again here. It was a very interesting conversation because most of us says that science is limited. So how can spirituality can be deepened with science? Only one of us said, no, you know nothing about quantum physics, and this may fill the gap, be the bridge between science and spirituality. I find it very interesting I'm very curious to investigate this in this direction, also for myself to understand more about quantum physics and how it can be relating to spirituality. And one thing that raised up is also, let's be the scientist that go to lab and investigate and inquiry those models that we were presented, like the guest, like the actor, like the experiencer, just being the scientist that do some research and observe what are the results when using one or more of those perspectives, and see the results by measuring the feelings that are coming when one is, like, for that minute, experience the guest model and look at the feelings that are coming up. I can say for myself, I liked very much to do those experiments with most of those models, and find it very enriching and very freeing and very entertaining also, because when this muscle of the parasintellect, which is called parasintellect, when it gets stronger, then the experience is getting stronger also. And the belief and the trust and become like it is a truth. For me now, it is definitely a truth. 27 years in this path, in this journey, I proved myself many times that one should embrace these models because this works. And almost every day I can find for myself some false identity that I can just sit for a few minutes, few seconds to see the ridiculousness of it and get out of it. Like in relationship with my boys, with my wife, with my colleagues, every day they're coming one or two or more, and just freeing myself, like getting out from this cage, from this and feeling those freedom. It's very joyful process, and not to worry, because once I prove to myself that these tools are working, then actually is like I'm almost inviting those cases to show me what still false ideas are there. You know, like a gamer in a PlayStation game that is looking for the next high thing, exciting things, and not knowing from advance what kind of monster, what kind of situation will come, unpredictable, and he's waiting for this just to overcome it. Maybe he's falling, but he has that enthusiasm and intoxication to keep the game on. So this is the experience here. Yeah, I can say that I'm like a gamer, that PlayStation.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Very nice. An appreciation for the virtue of the approach, like the one in the lab. When they start, it should be clean. Or even if you're cooking, you have to clean the surfaces and the instruments. And same feeling came when you're sharing. For us, it's if you're going to experiment, first to create an environment which is bright and clean as possible, and these little eyes are the things that need to be put aside. And also this clean approach, it's like a premise. And let's take the position or premise. I'm not trying to force myself to believe, but what would it be like to experience being the guest? And take an objective idea and see that view, and first experience, and then we can analyze it. So yeah, this approach is very nice, and having questions is good, but maybe to put them, acknowledge them, and come to them when we've had the feeling of that clean mind that is not cluttered with all of these different eyes and their desires. So thanks for inspiring this track. Thanks to all and for the chats and questions. Welcoming back Prashant.
Prashant comes with the whiteboard. Hello and welcome back. Let us create a few more minutes of attention. And this time we are just revisiting the different words that we used. The invisible traveler visiting this physical world. Travelers always like to remain light. So also this invisible traveler, it remains free from the word my. Reduce the burden of my. Remains light. Travelers know to let go. Anything that is not necessary, they want to drop, they want to travel light. The invisible traveler, he may visit a place, he likes the place, but he also knows to let go. Free to appreciate the next place. He's not dangling with the things he had visited in the past. We have traveled through time, many experiences of the past. The invisible traveler knows to let go of the past. And be here, this moment. Appreciate the richness of this moment. And looking forwards to the next. Traveler remains free. When we see ourselves as a guest, the invisible guest is very aware of his exit. Guest is aware of his home. So also the guest on this planet he finds it strange to collect things here. Guest remains very aware of his guaranteed exit. the next practice, we come to our home. He is not a traveler here, he is the resident of this sky beyond expanse. And we use this as an opportunity not to think of this story in an obsessive way. Just for a few minutes, step out of this story. Nothing will come to a halt, but we give our mind some rest. And during this time, we are in that light and color of that supreme sky. We see that we are engaged with that region of light and color. Even as we hear the words, we do not let go of that experience. Region beyond. This is a region that is timeless. Thank you. To come back to the home, to that region beyond. It is like the simple practice, but big reward. Because during that time, these cyclical thoughts and the random thoughts, they stop and appears to be very ordinary, I mean, just a waste thoughts, but they all contribute to the victim thinking. You know, if the victim is so dominant, those identities are dominant in the ruling the mind, they will only think about the victim material. They will churn that victim material. It feeds the victim. Just for even 1 minute, you stop that. It will reflect through your blood chemistry even. But you notice straight away the shift in your attitude. straight away you notice a shift. Do it properly for 1 minute, where there are no other thoughts. As was said, nothing will come to halt. Thinking of something 20 times doesn't change, it doesn't improve your performance, just makes our system inefficient. So ordinarily people are caught in this cyclical thinking. Some universities like Stanford University Psychology Department, they say that 90% of our thoughts are caught in this rut, cyclical thinking. And but we ourselves know, there is not lots of original. Some thoughts go around in your, because those false identities want them. It is bothered. Victim is bothered by it. And big success for us is just to be free from that. Imagine some traffic is going around a block, some caught in a circle. They are wasting their time. They are wasting time of others also. Same thing is happening in our system. The cyclical thoughts. 1 minute you step out of it, there is so much benefit. Let us hear some thoughts, some questions from you, and just want to, please type your comments or questions. Just want to come back to this image we gave yesterday of the camel and elephant. Let us say a person, Tom is acting as a camel in a children's drama. I don't dare to draw a camel, so I better write camel. Tom is acting as a camel, and Frida is acting as an elephant. And Prashant is acting as a dragon. So there is a drama, Even as they are acting, people don't see Tom, people don't see Frida, people just see camel and elephant. But if that drama was continuous for 10 years, and everyone likes camel, and the people like to praise camel and give gifts to camel, it is possible that Tom will feel he has not seen Tom. The reality for him is the camel. And everyone just, they are dealing with camel. And why am I so stubborn about Tom? So he might start thinking he himself is camel. There is that tendency, and imagine for one reason or the other, they were to believe Frida thinks that she's the elephant and camel. Now what happens, it may appear just academic that someone thinks he's camel and he thinks he's elephant. But camel and elephant world is a story world, and story ends. And story has a script. It is not in your control. All of that matters afterwards. First, you are just looking for the excitement of this. People are praising camel. This is what we mean by these false identities. False identity is this. The reason we come into false identity is because of indulgence. Some your position, or something praise, something of that kind. It becomes an incentive to jump on that. And you identify, but then you are trapped into an unpredictable world, and that is not in your control. That is temporary, and things are changing. When the praise stops, criticism comes, and you are there trapped. And the true self, even though the true self is there, you can't easily come out of it. because this false identity has to die now for the true self to become conscious. And false identity, even though there is a, some misfortune going on, but false identity, in spite of that, wants to get bigger. It tries its best to get bigger. Such is the trap that human race has found themselves in. So our story is like this. What Tom acting as camel, this is our story. We are all souls, invisible players. We are all immortal. Right now, we are immortal and noble and divine. And from that supreme home, but been playing this part of Prashant for a long time. And each one of us have been associated with these parts for a long time. Not 10 years, but much, much longer. Continuously. This drama is continuous. And no one is acknowledging you as an actor. They all are so interested in the camel. And now and then some praise comes, position comes, new hat comes. These are all huge, sort of excitements for the false identity. And in this environment, these false identities are flourishing. That's why we are completely disconnected from the true self. And this false identity is around the camel and around the elephant. What we are seeing in this model, we are leading a life of delusion and guaranteed misery, because that is a story world. It is unpredictable, but with guaranteed end. So the false I, it goes through misery as time progresses, as we saw already. We have the option, and the option we have is to change, but it needs a strategy. Just understanding is not enough, because this old I that is created, it is giving a fight. It is not a straight thing. I understood it and the change, or because I understood it, everything is okay now. No, understanding by itself doesn't change anything. We have to dismantle this false I, and we have to shift to the true I. This is our silent effort. And various things that are spoken, they are aimed to bring about this change. This casual effort, like part-time, some 1 minute here, some, that will not bring about this shift. We need to be a little more committed to this. They're really concerned how to dismantle this false identity. They are like parasites in the system. And they are 100% of misfortunes in the world are because of this. 100% of the sorrows are because of these false identities. Parasites, it is a waste of our life and time. Sooner we remove it is better. At an immediate level, might encourage to revise some of the ideas, revisit, reflect. That is necessary. We need to. We use the word Maya. Tomorrow we'll get more chance to discuss this. That is our own lower nature. Just like this false I, that is our lower nature, but it opposes the higher. Maya will will block. Maya will, anything that is important, you realize, you hear, Maya will say, now merge it. Don't go back. Don't think about it even. Maya has got something else for you to think about. Many other things, junk, to think about. So anything of value will be merged, which means it will go in the back burner. You have to give it a priority, emerge, come back to it, reflect on it, revise it. That is a progress, forward progress. And because some of these realizations, they are invaluable. And those realizations that help the angelic you to become conscious, and you are able to dismantle this false identity. Incognito at the moment, whole game is incognito, but this false identity, it is ruling everyone, but no one is in a rush to remove anything. They only when they get a serious mental health crisis, then they will think about it. But all along, it has been growing under the surface. So before it is, causing a real pain, if you do something about this, then it is called wisdom. After pain, you bring about change that everyone is doing. But before pain, if you take the steps, and that is what the task of the university, spiritual university, is this, to approach the situation through wisdom. I don't know how much time we have. It will be nice to hear any thoughts, any comments.
It feels like when you have a method that is clear about the aim, and then you will see results, and then you will enjoy the process, albeit a subtle game, and it will need, for all of us, we're all students and we're all fine-tuning, but you will enjoy it because you will feel lighter, and this cyclical thinking, even if it's 10% less, it's so much better for the quality of inner life. And the casual effort, as opposed to some accountability, that little bit of checking through the day, as was written, consistency, that will be easier to maintain. Like a fire, it's easier to keep it going rather than having to restart it all the time. So there are a few questions. Do you want to have a...
Yeah, sure.
Humanity has migrated from the dark ages to where now? It's quite a big question, but maybe if you want to... where are we?
We will be discussing subject of time, further down in one of the sessions.
So individuals move from physical and emotional limitation. Is the next frontier the shift from intellectual to spiritual?
They are all connected, as we saw, understanding helps us to experience higher emotions also. They are 100% parallel. If we are into the misunderstanding, if the intellect is blocked, then lower consciousness takes over. And then our emotions are also are different. We lead a handicapped emotional life.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe one more here. With science and AI becoming more prevalent, could this open opportunities to free ourselves from false identities that cause so much physical and emotional pain? Or can it hinder it, of course?
Yeah. many things help us. They are very, very necessary and good. But we still need to create we need to take a decision. That is the machines cannot do the job, the important job. Machines cannot do. They may cooperate, and that is a 1% job. Making things easy. What we have spoken so far, it is a working model, and it remains a working model for me. Even though during the practice, it is good for us to say 100%. During that time, we don't then the experience doesn't come. Like for example, I'm a guest. Be the guest during that time properly for 1 minute. And invisible guest who doesn't own one atom here, really experience it 100%. During that time, if I remain fuzzy, then experience will not come. But it remains a working model. And we mentioned in the past, you remain open. If there is something better comes, we are very happy to. It is good for the world, good for me to adopt something that is refined, more refined. And everything, these ideas will also get more refined. Even the words we are using, they will mean something different to you. But at the present, it is a working model.
Yeah, thank you. So there aren't any other questions unless you want to add a kind of a notional homework or focus.
A big homework for us is to go through that list. We made a list of 5, 6 things. In all these cases, there is a element of detached involvement. And to create few minutes with each, what does it mean? A trustee on this planet. The soul is a trustee, soul is a guest, the soul is an actor. What does it mean at a practical level? How will I see people? How will I see all my gold that is I have collected all my life? Oh, what happens to it? If I am a trustee, if I am an actor, just for 1 minute, 2 minutes, see the perspective. And that's all. Life continues, but this new perspective becomes internally, you are able to see another option. And then it is totally up to us. As you are seeing these two options, you yourselves are going to judge what is more useful to you. Life continues. You still stay in the life and body and job and family, everything continues. But your attitudes will be from the higher consciousness. And it is still your choice. Each one, we take the decision as we go along. At the present time, we give ourselves the contrast, experience of the contrast.
Thank you. And we put the list again in the chat, but I'm sure you have your copy and it's nice. It feels playful. So look forward to hearing your thoughts, experiences, and we meet again tomorrow. See you soon. Thank you.